Hello and welcome. In today's lesson we're going to look at the harmony of the minor keys. So far we've looked at the major harmony, so we're going to look at the minor. Before we get started, let's tune up. I'll give you my low E, our A string, our D string, G, B, and finally the high E. Okay, good. In previous lessons we've looked at how we built chords on the major scale and how we had 7 notes of the scale. And on each note then we built our chords. If you remember the rules I gave you, 2 3s or 6, that represented the minor chords, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, and the 6 chord. You'll start to see now where the number system becomes very, very important. So let's recap for a moment. Just in the key of C major, our 1 chord C, C major, and we could make it C major 7th, the 4-note chord. Our 2 chord, our D minor, 4 chord, D minor 7th, 4-note chord. So there we have our 1 chord, our 2 chord, our 3 chord E minor, or E minor 7th, our 4 chord F major, F major 7th, our 5 chord G major, or G dominant 7th. Remember the 5 chord, the dominant. Another nice way of playing that one. On this G7 chord, try to avoid the open 5th string. Your first finger will naturally choke it out for you, so we don't want to hear. So the G7 chord, that's fine. Our 6th chord, A minor, or A minor 7th. And finally our 7 chord, the B half diminished, or minor 7 flat 5, it's referred to. And back home to C. So there we have it. We have the 7 chords in the key of C. There was 3 minor chords, the 2, the 3 and the 6. We had our major chords, C major, our 4 chord F major, and our 5 chord G major, but when extended became our G dominant 7th. And finally the last chord that we came across was the B minor 7 flat 5. Now, you'll be glad to know that in harmonizing in minor keys, we simply change the place of the numbers. So the important one to look for, we're going to play now in the key of A minor. Now A minor is our relative minor. Every major key has a relative minor. To locate it, it's built on the 6th note of the scale. Let's check. C, D, E, F, G, A. So our A is the 6th note. Another easy way to view this would, instead of counting up the 6, is to count backwards from the root note. 8 or 1, the 7, which is always a semitone below us, and a tone below that is the 6th. So if we make that visual awareness of that, the relative minor will always be a tone and a half below the root. So wherever we have the key that we're in, the major key, let's say we were in C here, the relative minor would always be a tone and a half below it. Just test yourself on that for a moment. What is the relative minor of B flat? It would be G. The relative minor of D would be B. The relative minor of A, F sharp minor. Just have that visual awareness. Now let's look at the chords in the key of A minor now. This is A natural minor. And the chords are going to be exactly the same as the chords you've already learnt in C. The only difference is we're going to name the A minor chord now as the 1 chord. So it's as if we're starting on a different position in the scale. A minor is the 1. B minor 7 flat 5 is our 2 chord. C or C major 7 is our 3 chord. Our 4 chord. D minor 7. Our 5 chord, E minor 7. Our 6 chord, F major 7, or F major. Our 7 chord, G major, or G 7th, and finally home to A minor. Okay, there we have it. I'll just play those smoothly for you without talking, just so you hear. Now, in our harmony, if you remember thinking back in the major scale, the 5 chord was our dominant chord. But if we look at the minor harmony, we discover 1, 2, 3, 4. We discover our 5 chord is a minor chord. Now this is where we place our first common substitution. We substitute this chord for a dominant 7th. And remember, it's no big deal because the difference between a minor 7th and a dominant 7th is simply 1 note. And there we have made the open G, G sharp. So let's listen with the substitution in place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, the strength of the chord on the 5 chord. So we practice our chords as just the pure harmony without the substitution, then get your ear used to hearing that the 5 chord changed to the dominant.